ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Let's Play Warframe. I'm your host with the most, as always, Francois878, and today we are going to be talking about the Ballistica Prime, the brand new Prime crossbow introduced in update 21.6, along with Hydroid and the Nami Skyla Primes. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, front and center, I'm not impressed with this weapon. It's falls short stats-wise. The Prime gimmick is not very cool, I think, and honestly, I just didn't really like using the gun performance-wise. But we're going to go through some basic info and get more into detail why I'm not such a big fan of this weapon. The weapon does have a Mastery Rank 7 requirement, so very mid-range, not too high, but not a starter prime either. The base damage for this weapon is 152, and that is mostly in puncture, but it also does a decent chunk of slash damage as well. Now, the weapon also charges up, similar to a bow. And when you do that, you get a couple of special effects. The damage doubles. You get 1 meter of punch through, as well as when you kill an enemy with a fully charged shot, a shadow clone will be basically summoned in their place, and that shadow clone will fight for you. It will proc aggro and also deal damage to everything in range. It's just another Prime gimmick, and it's not the worst Prime gimmick I've ever seen. However, I think I could have come up with a better gimmick for the Ballistica than this. It just doesn't really make any sense. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just missing something. I'm not sure. But I'm just... I don't know. I don't get it. It's a kind of a weird thing to put on a crossbow, I guess. But some of the basic stats for the weapon are 20% crit chance, 2.0 crit multiplier, 20% status chance, 32 round magazine, 210 total ammo, 1.2 second reload time, and a 0.8 second charge rate. Now, the Ballistica does fire 4 bolts at a time, so that 32 round magazine is actually only going to get you 8 shots. That being said, because it fires 4 projectiles in a single trigger pull, the status chance is also really wonky. That 20% status chance is spread out amongst all 4 of those bolts. So each one of those bolts actually only has a 5% chance to proc a status effect. Now, this is very similar to shotguns in that if you can't get a weapon like this to 100% status chance and effectively break the status calculations in game, it's not worth building for status chance, which is a bummer. Now, I know what you're going to say, but Francois, you have 2 60% elemental damage, 60% status chance mods on this build. You're right, I do, and that's because I ran out of mod capacity for the weapon. And I couldn't justify putting on 2 more. I just couldn't justify putting on more Forma. I already had put on 2 Forma, and I just don't like the weapon enough to justify it, honestly. But the build is pretty standard here. Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, and Lethal Torrent for your multi-shot damage and a little bit of extra fire rate. You have Primed Target Cracker and Primed Pistol Gambit for your crit chance and crit damage, which, again, isn't impressive either. And then the last 3 slots I have for elemental damage mods. The first build, I also had Maim on there, just so that you could have a little extra slash damage, and slash would take priority on the physical damage procs if and when I got lucky enough to hit a status effect. The weapon's not very It's not very great. It's only got a 20% base crit chance, so even with a maxed primed pistol gambit, I was only getting a 57% chance to crit. The weapon is... it's just tough to use. You know, the flight speed on this particular weapon is very noticeable. I've been using the Forma Prime a lot recently, pretty much since it came out, honestly. And the Forma Prime's flight speed, even though it's slow, it's approximately double the flight speed of the Ballistica Prime shots. So there's definitely a adjustment that needed to be made for me personally to lead enemies a little bit more. I found myself having trouble making shots, and of course, very typical of me not being able to hit the damn orc and drones to save my life. That is not unique to this weapon. But I don't know. The one thing I can say that I do like about the Ballistica Prime is the overall design. The art team did an incredible job. I said this at TennoCon when they revealed the next Prime Access pack, that the Ballistica Prime was absolutely gorgeous, and I love it because the Ballistica Prime looks so much like a Prime. It's crazy. It's such an awesome looking crossbow, and it's just a damn shame that it does not perform like I want it to. Now these ghosts also, I want to speak really quickly about these ghosts. They're kind of hideous if you have a bright energy color on the Ballistica. The first clip that that I showed you guys, my energy color for the Ballistica was orange. And for me personally, it's kind of an eyesore to constantly have orange ghosts, you know, sitting around everywhere while I'm trying to use this weapon. It's distracting, and it makes me, it pulls my attention away from the actual enemies. Now, even with a black energy color, which is typically what I use energy color-wise to make things nearly invisible, even the black energy color, it's hard to get rid of these specters, these shadow clones, and it's really unfortunate. I almost wish there's a way to turn that functionality off altogether. Because again, it doesn't make a damn lick of sense. I don't know, maybe if DE has come out and explained why they chose this gimmick for this weapon, I'm not sure, but Now, all that being said, this weapon was a miss for me personally. I've never been a big fan of the Ballistica family. The status chance is wonky with it, and it doesn't really work. The crit chance isn't really high enough for a crit build. The gimmicks, meh. So it's tough. It's definitely a miss for me, which is a shame because I was really looking forward to this weapon. All that being said, thank you guys very much for coming by and listening to me ramble on about this weapon for 9 minutes. We'll have more Warframe content coming for you guys very soon. Go check out some other stuff. I'm going to have a review of the Nami Skyla Prime soon as well, but I also have a couple of great older videos as well. Until next time, I've been your host of the most, as always, Francois878, signing off.